Hare
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां
शिवसमारम्भां
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
सहना
ॐ
भवतु
सहना
सहनौ
भवतु
भुनक्तु
सहनौ
सह
भुनक्तु
वीर्यं
सह
करवावहै
वीर्यं
करवावहै
करवावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्तेजस्तेमस्तु
मा
मा
विद्विषावहै।
विद्विषावहै।
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः।
ॐ तत्सत्। ॐ नमः शिवाय।
ॐ तत्सत्। ॐ नमः शिवाय।
नमः शिवाय।
Namah Shivaya.
So we are on the 13th mantra of the third section, which we had started in the last class but not completed. So let us chant it again. Mantra number 13, section number 3, chapter number 1, Kathopanishad. So please unmute yourself. Yached Vangmanasi Prajnaha
यच्छेद्वाङ्मनसि
यच्छेद्वाङ्मनसि प्राज्ञः
प्राज्ञः
Tadyached Jnana Atmani
यच्छेज्ञान
तद्यच्छेज्ञान
आत्मनि
आत्मनि
Jnanamatmani Mahati Nichет
ज्ञानमात्मनि
ज्ञानमात्मनि
महति
महति नियच्छेत्
Tadyached Shantamatmani
तद्यच्छेच्छान्त आत्मनि.
तद्यच्छान्तमात्मनि।
So we had seen this, that the person who is the sadhaka, the discriminated person, should first resolve what? Vak into manasaha, speech into the mind, then manasaha into the intellect, then intellect into mahat, which is hiranyagarbha, then that mahat should be resolved into the atma. So this is the entire nididhyasanam process which we were talking about. How one has to move from the gross indriyas to the Vijnanamaya kosha, and from the Vijnanamaya kosha, you have to go to Hiranyagarbha, and from Hiranyagarbha, you have to go into straight into Atma. And we mentioned last time that the one of the bodies has been skipped. The Karna Shariram has been skipped because nothing is possible in Karna Shariram because the mind is resolved. And therefore, Upanishad text says from Hiranyagarbha, from Mahat, you should transcend and go straight into where? Into Atma. Right. So this is basically nothing but Panchakosha Viveka Dhyanam. Meditation using the Panchakoshas. And therefore Shankara makes a comment over here that in all the previous mantras, Nididhyasanam has been taught. Right. And what is the teaching? Sarvam Pravilapya. So Pravilapya is a technical word which means to recognize the mithyatvam of the entire anatma prapancha. So it's cognitive resolution only. It's a cognitive dismissal of the anatma prapancha, which means what? That the exist, this is the knowledge, it is the awareness, the constant awareness that the existence of the anatma does not belong to the anatma, but has been borrowed from me. So this process, anatma mithyatvam nishchaya, understanding the anatma prapancha as mithya, because why? Because the satyatvam of the anatma, the existence of the anatma, belongs to me and is not its own. So that cognitive dismissal of anatma is called pravilapana. It's a technical term which you will come across in many, many scriptural texts. So remember that Anatma doesn't physically go away because you continue to use the anatma, but with the full knowledge that there is no anatma which is apart from me. So what kind of anatma? Sarvam. Sarvam is the word used. Sarvam is all anatma. And Shankara explains very clearly. Sarvam means three things. Nama, Rupa, Karma. So he says Nama, Rupa, Karma, Trayam. Three things are there when in an Atma. Nama, Rupa, and Karma. Now if you look at an Atma, let's look at the body itself, which is very, familiar to all of us. What is karma? It can be a specific function which the rupa is doing, what the form is doing, right? And the form has a name. Therefore, rupa, nam, karma. Now, if you look at it from the point of view of our earlier discussions, nama, rupa, karma, when these three come together, what can be another name for it? When you're taking nama, rupa, karma together, name, form, and function. In the context of our discussion,
Jiva.
what is
Ji- Jivatma, a living being.
living being is okay. In other words, product, a karyam, right? So this is a very nice definition given by Shankaracharya. It is the definition of karya, product. Nama, Rupa, Karma, Trayam. The three things taken together are Nama, Rupa. And he says this Nama, Rupa is nothing but Anatma. And how does this Anatma come about? Because of the Adhyasa, the projection. And why does the projection happen? Because of Mithya Jnanam, wrong knowledge. Right? And this Anatma therefore has three things more. Kriya, Karaka, and Phalam. You can understand? Kriya is the action. Karaka, what is Karaka? It's a very important word in our study. Karaka, Kriya.
Fact. The
Karaka is
factors.
what? Factors of action. Right. So factors of action, the action itself, and the phalam. Why are these three words important for our understanding? Because remember, in any language you take, the words of the language can only describe one of these three aspects of anatma, either the factor of action, or the action itself, or the fruit. How will you say that? Any noun you use will reveal what? One of these three. Use any noun. What does it reveal out of Karaka, Kriya, and Phalam? Let's say take sentence, okay? I use my hand to pick the fruit. So that's a sentence. It's got a Karaka, it's got a Kriya, and it's got a Phalam.
Fruit. And we
Fruit is Phalam, right? So noun, fruit is represented by what? Noun.
noun.
Hand is your Karaka, factor of action.
Yes.
That is represented by what? Again, noun.
Other. Yes, that's a noun.
And
Hand is
picking is what? It's a verb. That
Hmm.
represents what? Kriya.
Kriya.
Right. So the idea being the way it is being presented by Shankaracharya is that any word that you use in any language, it can only describe one of these three things. Either the factor of action, or the action itself, or the fruit of the action. Right. So nouns will reveal karaka and phalam. Verbs will reveal kriya. And we said that this is a characteristic of nama rupa karma, which is what anatma. Therefore, these three, kriya, karaka, phalam, they all reveal only anatma. And we are saying any word you use will reveal only kriya, karaka, or phalam. Therefore, you have to come down and say that when you put them all together, what is the conclusion? Words can reveal only anatma. Atma cannot be revealed. Because Atma doesn't have a karaka. Atma doesn't have a kriya. Atma doesn't have phalam. So Atma is kriya karaka phalam vilakshanam. And therefore you cannot use words to describe Atma. Right? If I cannot use words to describe Atma, how am I going to resolve this anatma into Atma? Right? Because we said the purpose of the whole exercise is to resolve this anatma into yourself, the Atma, and that is called pravilapanam. How are you going to do this pravilapanam? And Shankara says only one way, by knowledge of the real nature of the Atma. And Shankara gives three examples, easy to understand. Maricha Udakaha, which is what?
The mirage waters.
Mirage water. Rajju Sarpaha, the snake at the rope. And Gagana Malana Malaniva. So Gagana Malanam Eva, the impurity in the sky. Okay. All these appear because of wrong knowledge. And all these are resolved how? If you want to know whether the mirage water is real or not, you are going to inquire into what? Come on, guys. There's a mirage in front of you in the desert, mirage water. You are traveling there. How will you decide whether the water is real or not, whether you can drink it or not?
Closer to it and touching it.
Close to it is
Yeah.
fine. What are you examining?
The mirage.
No, you are not examining a mirage.
The sand.
Desert sand.
Exactly. You will put your hand in and touch the water, right? What are you touching? The sand. And
Sand.
therefore, once you realize the real nature of that water is not water but sand, that is called the dismissal of the water mentally. The cognitive resolution of the water into the sand. That is pravilapana. Similarly, Rajju Sarpaha. When you want to know whether the snake is real or not, do you inquire into the snake or into the rope?
Rope.
Into the rope. So when you know that this is a rope and not a snake, the snake is dismissed, right? So that is the cognitive resolution of the snake into the rope. And similarly, you have Gagana Mala Iva, the impurity in the sky. So on knowing the real nature of the impurity, you will know that there is no sky at all. So there actually we need a bit of explanation. In the rope, it is pretty clear. The rope appears as the snake because we don't know the rope. Now remember that when you say Gagana Maranam, the dirt appearing as the sky, what does it really mean? Remember, in the old days, it is the blue color of the sky. Is it real?
No, the dust particles are being reflected and they give the
No.
blue to
So
the
that dust particles is what is being referred to here as Maranam. But really speaking, I mean, if anybody has studied physics, you will know that it is actually the air molecules in the atmosphere which scatter the light and make it appear blue. Okay. So this we need not inquire into whether Shastra's example is right or wrong. Basically, something is reflecting the air, the light, and that is appearing as blue. So the idea from these three examples is what? That the these three mithya objects, which is what? The snake, the mirage water, and the sky, blue sky. They are dissolved by the knowledge of the adhisthana, of the substratum. Similarly, this world, this Jagat, is resolved through the knowledge of the adhishthanam of the Jagat, which is Atma. And after this pravilapanam, this dismissal of the anatma is done, then what happens? That jnani will remain as Brahman in his own nature and prashanta atma, free from all disturbances. Right? And then Shankara adds kritakrityo bhavati. Where have we come across the word kritakritya? Very, very famous sloka of Bhagavad Gita.
Action and inaction.
Action and inaction. Okay, so that particular sloka has to be remembered over here. That once this dismissal has been done, there's nothing more to be done because you are a jnani. The same idea, it was conveyed in that 18th verse of the 4th chapter of Gita. So once you have dismissed anatma, you are dismissing ahankara also, right? And once you dismiss ahankara, then you will know that I am not the RC. Ahankara is nothing but RC, the body mind complex with reflected consciousness. And once you have dismissed ahankara, remember that you are not, it's not, ahankara is not going away. RC is not going to go away. It's going to be there because you have got a body, you got a mind, you got an intellect, and Atma is reflected there. But once you have understood that is RC is not me, basically what you have done is dismiss the Atma, dismiss the Ahankara, the RC. With the dismissal of the RC, the duties of the RC are also dismissed for the Jnani. Okay, very carefully understand. The Ahankara, the RC will continue with its duties. So this understanding has to be very clear. That is what is meant by kritikritya bhavati. It's not that the body will stop doing any work because the duties are always associated with the RC. The RC can never be free of karma. And therefore, karma will continue as long as the body is there. But the jnani will have no more kartrutvam for those actions. He will not say they are my actions. He will have to put it in different words. The body continues to do its actions according to prarabdha until the body drops. But the jnani knows that I am not that body. Any questions? Okay. Now we go to mantra number 40. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. उत्तिष्ठ जाग्रत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधत
उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रतः प्राप्य वरान् निबोधत
उत्तिष्ठजाग्रतप्राप्यवरान्निबोधत
शूरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया
क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया
दुर्गम पथस्तत्कवयो वदन्ति
दुर्गं पथस्तत्कवयो वदन्ति
वदन्ति.
Very famous verse, very often quoted by whom?
Swami
Swami
Vivekananda.
Vivekananda.
Swami Vivekananda. Okay. So, Uttishta, arise. Now, who is saying this? If you've not forgotten the full context, who is saying these words?
Yamraj.
Yamraj. Don't forget, okay? It is not Vivekananda who is saying this. Uttishta, arise. Jagrataha, awake. Prapya varan. Go to the great ones. Varan means the knowledgeable ones, the guru, the sage, the rishi. And nibodhataha, know the Atma, who says Kavayaha vadanti. The wise people say, and they say that tat pataha durgam. That path is difficult to tread. They say that path, tat pataha durgam. That path is difficult to tread. Why? Nishita dhara. Dhara is nishita, like a sharp edge, like the blade of a razor which has been sharpened. Nishita dharaha shurasya, like the sharp edge of a razor, and duratyaya is very difficult to tread. So this is the admission that in the spiritual journey, the most difficult part is the Jnana Yoga. The Shravanam, Maranam, Nidityasaram is the most difficult part. And therefore he says, Kavayaha Vadanti, all the rishis, all the rich men, all the wise men, they admit, Durgam Tat Pataha. That path is very difficult. The pataha here means that Jnana Yoga path. Durgam is, uh, Dukkhena Gamanam. Is what you call a path which is difficult to walk. That is why Krishna said, Klesho Digata Rastesha. If you remember the words. This path is absolutely full of difficulties. And he describes it further. Shurasya dhara eva. Shura means sword. Dhara means edge, the sharp edge. Shurasya dhara eva, like the sharp edge of a sword. And then he says nishita. So nishita means sharpening that sword. As it is, the sword is sharp. And then you have further sharpened it. And walking on that sword, the sharp edge of the sword, how difficult is that? Similarly, the path of Jnana Yoga is difficult. There is another meaning also. You can take the sharpness as the type of intellect that is required to understand Jnana. Razor sharp intellect. Right? So, this meaning, if you take, a lot of people think, oh, Jnana Yoga is very difficult. So, let me look for some other path. I do Bhakti Yoga, I do Karma Yoga, I do, some other kind of yoga, Shirsasana I do, something I do. Others say in Kali Yoga, just do japa, Nama Sankirtanam. Just do Hare Rama, and you'll get moksha. So here, as you can see from these mantras, the original Veda itself says that all these are all, compromises. They are all methods of running away from jnana because you think it is difficult. But if you want moksha, there is no alternate path at all. If you want moksha, there can be no alternate path. Why? Because moksha is a problem of ajnanam. Ajnanam can be resolved only through jnana. Is it not? Supposing you don't know, you know, which bus goes to which station. What is the only way? You have to go and find out, get knowledge of which bus goes to which station. No amount of meditation, no amount of karma yoga is going to give this knowledge to you. The solution for ajnanam is only jnanam, right? By doing japa, will you know that which bus goes to which station? Doing japa may be good for your chitta shuddhi, but ajnanam can be dismissed only by jnana. So, if jnana yoga is difficult, then the question is how to make it easy. What is the answer to that?
Sadhana Chatushtaya.
Yes. For an unprepared person, everything is difficult. For a prepared person, everything is easy. Right? So the skill of a person, the skill looks effortless when you see that person walking on the rope in the circus. So effortlessly that girl gets up on the rope and walks across. Your head spins only to look at the rope. But behind that effortless walking, behind that skill, there are thousands of hours of preparation. Similarly, here, the jnani for him, everything looks easy. But behind that achievement of the jnana, there are thousands of, not just hours, thousands of lives of sadhana chatushtaya. And that's why here Yamraj says, Uttishta, get up, get up. Literally meaning get up. Get up from what? Get up from your ignorance. Don't continue to sleep. So get Uttishta, Jagrata, get up and awake. Right? So Shankara adds here saying Uttishtaha means, very clear, he comments. Uttishtaha means, can you guess what he says?
Make use of this human life to.
Make use of human life. But Shankara says, Uttishtaha simply means take up karma yoga and upasana yoga. Get jnana yogyata, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. And then jagrata, jagrata prapya. Jagrata prapya means awake to your higher nature. How? First, you have to do karma yoga, upasana yoga. Then you have to go to guru. And the question is, how do you know that scripture says you should not study jnana yoga independently, only under a teacher? He says, prapya varan nibodataha. Go to a guru. Varan, go to a shreshtaha. Guru literally means shreshtaha. Vara also means shreshtaha. And what sort of a guru? A guru who is Brahmanishtaha, who knows that he is Brahman, but also Shrotriya. He should have learned from a guru himself. And that is very important because the exact method of teaching only he will know. So there are some people who have, had exposure in their previous life to a lot of Shravanam Mananam, and therefore they have been prepared. And this life they just get that knowledge. So they are Brahmanishta. But in this life, they have not got the Shravana Mananam. And from last life, they won't remember how to teach. Therefore, he is a Brahmanishta, but he may not know how to teach. Therefore, this mantra says, you have to go to a guru who is Varaha, both Brahmanishta and Shrotriya. And then Nibodataha, may you know. May you know what? May you know Brahman. So just japa is not enough. Just Chitta Shuddhi is not enough. You have to get Chitta Shuddhi through Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and then go to a qualified Brahmanishta Shrotriya Guru who will teach you Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So Shravanam and Mananam he will teach you. Nididhyasanam he will tell you how to do. Nididhyasanam is basically your own baby. Nobody else can help you with that. Okay. Then let us look at the 15th mantra. You will chant. Ashabdamasparshamaroopamavyayam.
अशब्दमस्पर्शमरूपमव्ययम्
Ashabdamaspamavayam
Tatharasam nityamagandhavachayat.
तथारसं
Tatharasam
नित्यमगन्धवच्चयत्
नित्यमगन्धवच्चयत्
Navyanantam mahatah param dhruvam.
अनाद्यनन्तं
अनाद्यनन्तं
महतः
महतः
Anadyanantam
परं
परं
Param
ध्रुवम्
ध्रुवम्
Dhruvam
Chayatan mrityamukhat pramuchyate.
Nichayat
निचायत मृत्युमुखात्
निश्चायतन्मृत्युमुखात्
प्रमुच्यते
Pramuchyate.
प्रमुच्यते
There's a description. Yat. This Brahman, Ashabdam, has no sounds. Asparsham cannot be touched. Arupam is formless. Arasam cannot be tasted. Agandhavat does not smell. Anadi Anantam. That word has to be broken up. Anadi Anantam. Without beginning, without end. Tatha Avyayam does not decay. Nityam, eternal, without death. Dhruvam. Dhruvam is without change. Paraha Mahataha. It's beyond Mahat. And Tat Nichaya. Having known that Brahman, Mrityu Mukhat Pramuchyate. One is freed from the hands of Lord Yam. Remember, Lord Yam is saying this. Okay. If you want to free yourself from my hands, this Brahman, you must know. So the summarizing of the teaching, this is of all the teachings so far, of all the sections. And this is the third section, as you know, the first chapter. And therefore, these are the concluding verses of the first chapter. And this is one of the most important mantras of the Kathopanishad. In fact, one of the most important mantras of all Shruti. And as you can see, it will cover three topics: Atma Lakshanam, Atma Jnanam, Atma Jnana Phalam. In one mantra, these three very profound topics are covered. Atma Lakshanam is the first topic. What is the nature of the Atma? Atma Lakshanam means what is the nature of the Atma? Okay. So, what is the nature of the Atma? These three bodies, the Panchakoshas, I am not, nor are they mine. Okay, so that two understanding is different. Mamakara and Ahankara has to be dismissed. So when I say Panchakosha is not me, I'm dismissing Ahankara. When I say Panchakosha does not belong to me, I am dismissing Mamakara. And therefore, I am different from these Panchakoshas, which means what? They are all objects which I experience. And as you know, anything which I experience cannot be me. Therefore, I am different from all of them. Who am I? That who am I is described here. I am that Brahman. I am that consciousness principle, the witness consciousness principle, the Chetana Shakshi. So, what is the description? I am the Sakshi, the consciousness principle, free from all sort of attributes. No gunas are there. I am a formless principle. The body has a form, but I am the Sakshi, the witness principle, free from all attributes. I am Nirgunam, and therefore I am Ashabdham. I cannot speak. There are no sounds in me. Asparsham, I cannot touch because I don't have hands or legs or skin. Arupam, I am formless. I am everywhere. Even Akasha, space, has to be located within me. Because when the Jagat is born, space is born, time is born. But I have been there before that. So Arupam, formless. Even space is located within me. Because when space is within me, any boundary we talk about, we have to reference space, right? And when space is within me, where is the question of any boundary? Then I am arasam, tasteless. I cannot taste. I am gandhavat. I cannot smell. I cannot be smelled. I don't have good smell or bad smell. Okay. Remember, all this description can be described in two words. What are they? We have seen this in Bhagavad Gita several times. Indriya,
Agocharam.
Indriya Agocharam, not graspable by the sense organs, not perceived by the five sense organs. And Tatha Avyayam. Avyayam is to recall Tattvada Apakshaya Ahitaha, free from the vikara of Apakshaya, decayless, right? Then Nityam. Nityam is Marana Rahitaha, again Tattvabodha, Nasha Rahitaha, free from the decay of death, right? Anadi, without beginning. That is one meaning. Shankara says there's another meaning to Adi. Adi can mean beginning, but Adi can also mean that which is the cause of, Karana. Therefore, Shankara says Anadi means Karana Rahita, not having a cause, right? And Anantam. So Anantam generally means endless, without end. But Shankara adds saying Antaha can be taken as the end product, the karya. Therefore, anantam has to be taken as that which has no karya. And therefore, adi anantaha can have the meaning of beginningless and endless. But Shankara says you should also take it as karana rahitam and karya rahitam, that which has no cause and no product. Karya, karana, vilakshana. Right? Beyond cause and effect. And this we are seeing in Mandukya Upanishad, Mandukya Karikas. Okay. Now, when you say karya, karana, vilakshanam, beyond cause and effect, remember that karanam and karyam can exist only in vyavaharika, where there is maya, where there is matter. Why? Because matter alone can be karanam, matter alone can be karyam. Atma cannot be karyam and cannot be karanam because Atma it's a non-material principle. Right? It can neither produce nor be produced. That's what is meant by karya, karana, vilakshanam. Therefore, any karanam, karyam, when we talk about, remember it belongs to the plane where maya is there. So, vyavaharika satyam only. Then, next one is param mahataha. Beyond mahat. Mahata here means hiranyagarbha, which is samashti sukshma shariram, total mind. Then dhruvam, changeless. Okay, when he says dhruvam, changeless, Shankara adds that when you say eternal, there can be two eternals, right? One is the changing eternal, and one is the non-changing eternal. Do you understand what he is referring to? When he says changing eternal and non-changing eternal, he's saying there are two nityams. Atyantika nityam, apekshika
And
nityam.
apekshika.
Apeksha nityam is changing nityam. Atyantika nityam is non-changing nityam. What are they referring to? What is he referring to?
Brahman and Maya.
Brahman and Maya, right? Because Maya is constantly changing. Therefore, it is apekshika nityam. Brahman cannot change at all. Consciousness cannot change at all. Therefore, it is atyantika nityam or kutastham nityam. Changelessly eternal. And here, Shankara says, in Dhruvam, you have to take it as kutastha nityam, atyantika nityam, changelessly eternal. Okay. Now, question will come up. We said that Maya is also eternal, constantly changing. And in fact, we know that there is a physics law also. E is equal to mc squared. Matter can never be destroyed. Matter is eternal. But in lots of places in the scriptures, we will find the understanding that Maya can be ended. What does it mean? When you say Maya is eternal,
Avyaktam.
becoming
sorry?
unmanifest.
Avyaktam. Avyaktam to vyakta.
No, Vyaktam doesn't end. Vyaktam just there are two states like steam and water. When water becomes steam, you can't say water is ended. Water is still there. It hasn't changed form. Same thing with Maya. What is the destruction of Maya called?
Pralayam.
I just mentioned Pravilapanam.
Yes, cognitive.
Understanding of the mithyatvam of Maya is figuratively called destruction of Maya. Right? You cannot count a mithya entity as another entity. Let's give an example. You walk into a ice cream parlor, right, with your friend. And now that I don't know if ice cream parlors still have these things. In my days, they used to have these nice, mirrors on all sides. So when you walk and sit on the table, You are seeing, you two guys are there anyway, but there are also two reflections in the mirror. How many cups of ice cream do you order?
Only one. My reflection is Mithya.
Mithya, mithya, right? You see your reflection, it's mithya. So that's what he's talking about. You cannot count it. It is experienceable, but you cannot count it. So here, the first three lines of the mantra is talking about Atma Lakshana and Atma Swarupam. Then comes Atma Jnanam. So he says Nichaya. Nichaya is Nischaya Jnana Prapya. Nichaya means clearly know or clearly attain the knowledge of the Atma. And what is this knowledge? This knowledge is Aham Brahmasmi. Your teacher only say Tattvamasi, but the knowledge has to be understood as Aham Brahmasmi. So when we are talking about this mantra, in your mind, you should replace the idea that the teacher is talking about Brahman. You should replace an idea with what idea?
About me.
Talking about
Right.
me.
You have to say, you have to replace the idea with the idea that this teacher is talking, giving me a description of myself. That is the way that Atma Jnanam has to be understood. As long as you say Brahman is like this, it is Paroksha Jnanam, indirect knowledge. When you say I am like this, then only is it Paroksha Jnanam. Aparoksha Jnanam alone can give moksha. Right? Then, once you have got that knowledge, what is the phalam? Tat mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. You will be released from my hold. Mrityu is Lord Yama. Mukhat is literally mouth. You will come out, you will not be entering my mouth. So here, Yama is Kala Tattvam, time itself. You will be freed from the destruction of time. Remember that Yama himself is saying it, Yamraj himself is saying it. And therefore, this freedom includes freedom from the fear of death. And this fear expresses how it's a sense of insecurity as far as, I am concerned or my family members are concerned. Am I secure? Am I not? Also, as you grow older, unless you have understood the scriptures, and this is probably one of the greatest advantages of studying Shastra. If you have not studied Shastra, it is almost inevitable that as you grow older, you will constantly think about how you are going to die, right? Because you don't know that you're separate from your body. So you will say, how am I going to die? That's a constant thought which occupies a lot of people, especially as they get older. How is that death going to come to me? Is it going to be smooth? Will I die in my sleep? Or is it going to be a lingering, painful death? Am I going to be in the ICU with all sort of tubes stuck into me? Right? This fear of death is an expression of samsara. And then there is a sense of insecurity as far as punarjanma is concerned. What will I be born as, reborn as? Will I be a cockroach? Will I be a god? What will be? Will it be a good life? Will it be a bad life? So from all these, pramuchyate, he is released. The man who has understood that the first three lines refer to himself. It's my description. For him, this is the phalam. He is released from all these fears. Okay. With this mantra, the teaching is over for this chapter. Now we will see what is known as vibhuti, the glorification. Let us read mantra number 15. Ashabdamasparshama roop. No, sorry, sir. 15. Number 16. Nachiketam upakyanam
Nachiketamupakyanam
Nachiketamupakyanam
mrityu proktam sanatanam
मृत्युप्रोक्तं
मृत्युप्रोक्तं सनातनम्
सनातनम्
उक्त्वा श्रुत्वा च मेधावी
उक्त्वा
उक्त्वा
श्रुत्वा
श्रुत्वा
च
च
मेधावी
मेधावी
ब्रह्मलोके महीयते.
ब्रह्मलोके
लोके
महीयते.
महीयते.
So uktva shrutva is there, but in your understanding, you have to reverse the words. Shrutva uktva. Why should you reverse?
You
Because
hear
To
first
hear
and then
before
you
you
say it.
Here and then
Uktva is you're repeating or you're understanding. You are talking to somebody. Shrutva first. First you have to hear, and then only can you teach. Shrutva, hearing. Uktva, teaching or repeating. Sanatanam upakhyanam. The upakhyanam is the teaching. The eternal teaching, Sanatanam, eternal, the eternal teaching, Nachiketasam, which was given to Nachiketas, and Mrityu Proktam, which was spoken by Lord Yama, Mrityu. So this is referring to the teaching given by Lord Yama to Nachiketas. If you hear that teaching and if you repeat the teaching, who are you? Medhavi. You are the one with discrimination. Brahmaloke mahiyate. Such a sadhaka. He is glorified even in Brahmaloka. Okay, so this is the glory of the first chapter of Kathopanishad. This dialogue between Nachiketas and Mrityu, it's an eternal dialogue. Why? Because as long as Veda survives, this dialogue will survive. Veda comes along with creation and ends only, and not really ends. It becomes unmanifest at Pralayam. But the teaching is not lost. Because when Hiranyagarbha wakes up after Pralayam for the next Srishti, the knowledge is still available with him. So just as whatever you know today is not lost when you sleep tonight, and when you get up tomorrow, it's available to you. Similarly, Pralayam is the sleep of Hiranyagarbha, so the knowledge is not lost. Medhavi. Medhavi is a person who is sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. Srutva, hearing the teaching from his guru through Shravanam and Maranam. Uktva. Uktva can be taken as Nididhyasanam, and Nididhyasanam can also be taken as teaching. That is why it says Uktva, talking about it. So, talking about what you have heard, sharing with other people is also Nididhyasanam. Right? It can be formal, it can be informal, but of course, you should share only with interested people. Okay. Now, just to bring out a point here, normally you should not fiddle with the order of the words in the mantras because it's Shruti, right? So, Uktva, Shrutva, if you are going to convert into Shrutva, Uktva, there is a rule in Shastra, in Mimamsa. It says Arth Karma Pataha, the logical order of any sentence or of any two or three or four words. Kramat Baliyan. Kramam means sequence. So Arthakama, the logical order of a sentence, supersedes Baliyan, supersedes, is stronger than Kramat, the textual order. Can you understand? When the order in the text has a particular strength, but that strength can be overruled by the logical order. The logical understanding should be taken as a superior one. And in your mind, at least, you can rearrange those words. That is why we said Shrutva first and then Uktva next. Brahmaloke, he is going to be worshipped in Brahman, in Brahmaloka, which means he will be subject to a lot of respect. Of course, there is another interpretation which somebody else gives. He says, supposing a person learns Nachiketa karma, right? Remember that Nachiketa karma, fire ritual. He learns this fire ritual and he learns the Virat Upasana. So together What are you doing? You have done the Nachiketa karma and you have done Virat Upasana. So Upasana karma samochaya. You combine them. What happens when you combine karma and Upasana? Where do you go after death?
Brahmaloka.
Brahmaloka. And
Brahmamukti.
therefore, is Brahmaloka Mahiyate. You will go to Brahmaloka. In Brahmaloka, you will obtain Kramamukti. So, therefore, depending upon which way you look at it, which interpretation you take, one interpretation is Jivan Mukti, Sadhyo Mukti. The other interpretation is Kramamukti. So, the sadhaka who understands the first chapter of the Kathopanishad will get either Kramamukti or Jivan Mukti. The net thing is he will definitely get mukti. And that is the glory of the Upanishad. Now we look at the last mantra of this section of this first chapter. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. Ya imam paramam guhyam
Ya
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 imam
imam
paramam
paramam
guhyam
guhyam.
pravayet brahma samsadi
shravayet brahma
Shravayet Brahma
samsade
Samsadi.
prayata shraddha kaleva
prayata
Prayata
shraddha
Shraddha
kale va
Kaleva.
tadanantaya kalpate
anantyaya
Tadanantaya
kalpate
Kalpate.
तदानन्ताय कल्पते इति
tadanantyaya kalpata iti
Tadanantaya Kalpate iti.
इति तृतीयवल्ली
iti tritiyavalli
Tritiyavalli.
इति तृतीयवल्ली means here ends the Tritiyavalli, the third section of the first chapter of the Upanishad. So yaha, that person, Shravayet Prayataha, who repeats Imam Paramam Guhyam, the supreme secret which Yamraj has said, Brahma Samsatihi, in the company of Brahmins, Va Shradakati, at the time of Shradam, Tat, that Kalpate is conducive to Anantaya, to an infinite result. Tat Anantaya Kalpate, it will certainly lead to infinite result, which means moksha. Iti. Iti means this section is ended. So here Yamaraj is giving another glorification. He's saying even the hearing or reading of this Upanishad is a very great punya karma. Even a simple parayana, just chanting the Upanishad regularly, will produce great amount of punyam. And ya imam paramam guhyam, this great and sacred teaching, imam paramam, super teaching, guhyam, secret teaching, which took place between Yamaraj and Natikechas, Pratayaha. So Pratayaha means after your bath. So you should, when you're chanting this, you should first have a bath after snan, after purifying yourself. After snanam, after a bath, if you Pratyaha, after the bath, Shravayet, a person listens the Shravanam, or if you've already done Shravanam, then you are reading or listening to your notes, either for yourself or sometimes you want to chant to others or tell others. Brahma Samsadihi. So here Brahman, Brahmins are people who have got Shraddha. Or during Shraddha Kalaha, during Shraddha period, that Parayanam is, is Anantaya Kalpate, which gives you immense punyam. Kalpate is capable of giving punyam. And this line is indicated to repeated to indicate that this is the end of the first chapter. And therefore, Kathopanishad is good for Shravanam. Kathopanishad is good for reading. Kathopanishad is good for chanting. And Kathopanishad is good for teaching. With this, the first chapter is ended. Om Tat Sat. Any questions? So I would suggest that you all go through it. Yes, please go ahead, Rituji.
Acharya ji, at times I wonder while studying the Srishti Prakriya, we never learnt of birth of Kala Tattvam.
Kala Tattvam is born along with Akasha. It's
Yeah,
an
but it was
implication.
not mentioned anywhere, so it's
Kala Tattvam is who?
the time principle.
Yeah, but it's Lord Yamraj.
Yes.
When is Lord Yamraj born? After Srishti is born. So that is why it's not mentioned separately. The moment that Kala Tattva and Yamraj's name is that Kala, time.
Hmm.
So you have to take it that way. That we are not looking at it as an element. Akasha is an element, so it is mentioned separately. But
Okay.
Kala is a god who is born. It's a governing principle who is born along with Akasha.
Okay. Thank you.
And incidentally, it is even the Big Bang theory accepts that there was no time before the Big Bang or space. So with this, we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience.
Om Acharya. So
Yes,
the
Meeraji.
last shloka, Acharya ji, doesn't it hold good for all the Upanishads?
In the sense,
That, doing chanting, manana.
yeah, of course. It holds for all the good Upanishads, also good for Bhagavad Gita.
Right.
In fact, sannyasis and all who have nothing else to do in life, they chant even the bhashyams. Shankara Bhashyam is memorized and chanted. So if you want to do, lots of stuff is there. But how many of us have the time? I would say is that at least I did it anyway. I used to chant the Upanishads regularly. So it sort of, when you study it afterwards, again, or read it afterwards, it sticks in your mind. You know, chanting is very good. Without chanting, if you are studying Upanishad only by classes, you'll find that the ideas keep slipping away from your mind. You should chant at least once a week Upanishad, every day Bhagavad Gita. Maybe not the whole thing, at least parts. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you so much, Acharya.
Thank you.